Hello students, today we will discuss about Hardy's treatment of nature with a special reference to the return of the native. Okay. One of the critics of Hardy mentions that everyone must be involved with someone whom he considers superior to him, since Hardy does not believe in the existence of God. He drew closest to nature. In keeping with his philosophy of life, Hardy finds in nature the following characteristics. Nature in Hardy's novels manifests the immanent will. It is indifferent to human joy and sorrow, the indifference and at its best and cruelty at the worst characterize nature in relation to man. Nature herself is depicted as a victim of the relentless will. It is shown making an unceasing struggle for existence and survival of the fittest operates in nature. Nature is beautiful and soothing, but it is also red in tooth and claw. It has faces marked with cruelty, uprise, and indifference. Hardy's treatment of nature is original and unique because next romantic treatment. It is different from the romantic treatment of nature which we find in the poetry of romantic poets who believe in a spirit that lives and moves through all things. Contrary to them, Hardy views nature as a realist, finding in it just the charm of an illusion. Next, objective. Hardy's treatment of nature is objective. He does not take nature to be a mirror projecting and reflecting the subjective joy and sorrows of the individual, but as a separate identity living a life of its own. Next, sound of nature. And like a sensitive poet, Hardy feels immense joy in nothing the minutest sights and sounds of nature. Okay. Next, he paints nature as a character. In his novel, Hardy does not present nature as a mere background for human actions. He paints nature as a character, both the actor and spectator in the drama of human life. Next, nature with the fidelity of a naturalist. Hardy portrays nature with the fidelity of naturalist and the vision and imaginative flight of a plot. He is delighted in depicting nature in her vast, somber, gloomy, and isolated aspects. Next, nature in the return of the native. In the opening chapter of the novel, Hardy draws a picture of Eden Heath, which is unique in his nature description. Hardy portrays it as a place majestic without severity, impressive without showness, emphatic in its admonitious, grand in its simplicity. It has a lonely face suggesting tragical possibilities, a face on which time makes but little impression. It is relations of night and civilization in its enemy. Next, the vast heath immensely influences the life of those who live there. Those who, like Thompson and Van, are able to adjust themselves to its spirit find happiness in the end. What others claim with his idealism and Eustacia with her ambitions find in the spirit of Eden Heath is a force that ultimately leaves them vanquished. Chance plays an adverse role in most of novels of Thomas Hardy. In Return of the Native too, it brings new suffering and sorrow to most of the characters of the novels. It is ironical, fatal, and malevolent. Man is shown caught in the web of fate and chance. There is a force behind chance which is beyond human control. In the return of the native, chance affects the life of the characters of the novel in the following way. It is by chance that Clem meets Eustacia when he returns home with his mother and cousin. This meeting by chance leads to their sad and tragic love. It is just a matter of chance that Diggory Van comes to propose of Mary Thompson a few minutes after Wildlife has given his consent to marry her. Had it not been so, one is left conjecturing the lives of Clem, mother, Eustace, and Wildlife would have been happier. Chance again asserts itself as a Christian carrying the guineas to be given to Thompson comes across Wildlife and gambles then away. This chance leads to that unhappy meeting of Mrs. Umbright and Eustacia, which creates bitterness and misunderstanding between them. This misunderstanding is further intensified by another chance when delivers all the guineas to Thompson. Wiley comes to meet Eustacia exactly at the time when Mrs. Wright arrives at the cottage door of Clem. It is another chance leading to the tragedy of the closed door. It is another chance that Eustacia does not open the door thinking that Clem is awake and he will open the door for Mrs. Wright. Clem is beside the deathbed of his mother who dies of exhaustion and Adderwhite just then Johnny Newsange come to report the dying words of Mrs. O'Brien. This leads to quarrel with Eustacia and Clem. The sudden fortune acquired by Wildlips is another chance leading Eustacia to make renewed interest in him. The meeting between Eustacia and Wildlife takes place in the moonlight dance. It is another chance that paved that way for tragedy. Next, on the fatal night of 6th November, chance misleads Wildlife instead of starting at the midnight hour. He keeps on waiting for a quarter of an hour. Had he started in time, Eustacia would not have met her tragic end. Next, from this vital role of chance in human life, one should not draw the conclusion that alone chance is responsible for the destructions and happiness of Hardy's character. The tragic flaw in their character is also equally responsible for their tragedies. Clem's idealism, Eustacia's ambition, Wildlip's sensuality, and Mrs. Hubert's inordinate love for her son also contribute to their tragedies. All this admitted the fact, yet remains that had chance operated otherwise in their lives, death and disaster would have been avoided in same cases. Tragedy, according to classical standards, is a representation of the suffering of a noble soul. It arouses the emotions of pity and terror in us, leading thereby to purgation of emotions, thus working out its cathartic effect. Mrs. Hubert is an honest and noble woman whose tragedy arouses a sense of pity in us. And suggests how there has been an immense best of human virtues. Mrs. Hubert is a woman of remarkable virtues. She possesses many outstanding features of characters which constitute her glory and her greatness. In Mrs. Hubert we find firmness and sensibility, which are rare in women living far from the civilized and educated people of cities. She is a wise judge of men and manners. She knows that Clem's ideals are unpracticable. She is also aware of the shortcomings of Eustacia. She therefore opposes Clem on both the points. She possesses a keen insight into life. She knows how Wildlife can be made agree to marry Thompson. She is stupid enough not to give guineas to Wildlife, for she feared that the money may not reach the right hand. Though she has pride, but she does not humiliate anyone. Actually, we should say that she is too much conscious of her self-esteem, and yet she possesses the meekness of a child. She is unyielding and is agreed quickly, but she is quick and forgiving too. When Clem decides to marry Stacy in spite of her being against it, she does not compromise with him, and both the son and mother start living separately. But when she finds her son in trouble, she quickly forgives him and goes to him for reconciliation. She sacrifices her joy for her son, and her motherly love for Clem elevates her further in her estimation. She is pure-hearted, willing to malice and ill will against any person. Her nobility may be seen in her seeking reconciliation with her dear daughter-in-law. She goes to meet Eustace and treads a long way to her son's cottage to ride up the gulf which has divided the mother and them on. But destiny plays a malicious trick on her. She is misunderstood by her daughter-in-law. She returns from the closed door and died a broken heart, woman cast off by her son. He is tragedy of noble virtues such as nobility, motherly love, prudence, honesty, and kindness that go west with their death. The sense of west arouses our feeling of pity. Her movements and the majestic foundation, they were far from being majestic, and they had a groundwork of assurance, but they were not assured.